What's going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson, Sports Arena here, just checking in with everybody, make sure everybody's doing fine. So, of course, as most of us in the sporting world who are dying for any sports know, some news came down today from the NFL, the playoff expansion to 14 teams. So, I had to get the opinion and the thoughts of my man, Florida Sun Review and Fancy and Flavors, Mr. Alex Fleming. Alex, brother, first and foremost, how you doing over there in the 407?
I'm actually nice and healthy. People are starting to lose their heads, but we're not talking about that right now.
No.
Governor DeSantis already said, shut down, but you already know. I'm
Yeah.
all right.
All right.
Got TP. I'm good.
Good deal. Good deal. So, yeah, brother, I just wanted to talk to you about this because, now the NFL has expanded to 14 teams in regards to the playoffs. And I was going back, man, and I was looking at some of this, and I was like, do you realize teams like the Detroit Lions, the Bucks, the Jets, they all would have been in the playoffs between 2015 to now if we had gone to this 14-team playoff expansion?
The Eagles, the Minnesota Vikings, Pittsburgh wouldn't have missed the playoffs. Pittsburgh is one of the teams that has been detrimental for because they would have made the playoffs each and every year for a decade.
Exactly. Instead of them missing the last two like they have and having to rely on help. So, man, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, do you see this as a good thing, a bad thing? Talk to me about
it. Okay. First and foremost, I am a football fan. I'm a football junkie. I'm raw. I'm really raw. I'll repeat. Okay. So anything football related, I'm happy for. Now that that's out of the way, I don't like this deal. Okay, the 2 seed gets a raw deal because if you were going to have to face the 1 seed, you were going to have to travel anyway. That's just a factor of life. But let's say you're the 2 seed and not the 1 seed. Now you have 2, potentially 3, if the 1 seed gets upset, home games just to even play a bid to go to the Super Bowl. I broke down weeks of how long this is going to be. Now, I know people are going to say they cut the preseason. Shut up, they cut the preseason. And OTAs, training camp. 20 weeks straight of football. You don't get a bye week. The only person that gets a bye week is the number 1 seed, plus your regular bye week in the regular season. But that's regular season. That's given. The number 2 doesn't get a bye anymore. So that number 2 seed doesn't hold the same weight or value that it did once before. Another thing I don't like, how are we going to say in one hand, we need to worry about player safety and CTE and make the game safer, and then you're going to extend the schedule? That's like a backhanded compliment. It doesn't make much sense to me. And this could have waited till next year, but the owners got greedy and they got what they wanted. And the players just, we'll just give it away. Give it away now.
I hear all the things that you're saying. However, what you did mention, and I want to call your attention to, is the fact that they did shorten the preseason. Now, granted, I know you and everybody else is pretty much going to say, well, listen, the starters don't even go or start playing till weeks 3 and 4. So now they've got to get their rhythm quick, fast, and in a hurry because by week now it's not even week 3. You got 2 weeks of preseason, and you're automatically, hey, we're jumping in. Let's go. Thursday night football, kick it off. Let's ride. So
you're making an argument for me.
Hold on, but this is what I'm saying to you. The one thing you said to start your whole little diatribe there was you are a football fan. So I figured if anybody would be appreciative and happy about this, it would be you. What I'm saying to you is this. What I'm looking at it is, okay, now these guys, they have to get their OTAs. They go to training camp. They've got their 2 preseason games, and then, bam, we're still good. Now, yes, you still get your bye week. But now this puts an onus on being number 1 and continually competing. We have seen a lot of years where people will either A, tank, or B, once they realize they're out of the playoffs, they're playing for nothing but a paycheck as far as I'm concerned. You know what? And so what bothers me that I'm looking at this, and let me rephrase it, it's not bothering me. What I'm excited about is, okay, now we're really going to test these guys. Because there's always a talk of the game has changed and it's gotten easier or it's gotten faster or it's this or that. Well, okay, let's see what you guys can handle now. Let's see who's going to rise to the top. Because we've seen a lot of shakeup during this offseason, during this free agency. Phillip Rivers now has to deal with not only Frank Wright, but a whole new squad in the Indianapolis Colts. Tom Brady has to deal with the entire weapons that he's been begging for in New England, now with the Bucs. But now, on top of all that, gentlemen, now you've got an additional game that you've got to play. Unless there's some rule stating that, you only are allowed to play 16 games, which would you be okay with that? Let me ask that question to Alex. Would you be okay if the NFL stated In the CBA, players are only allowed to play 16 games.
I'll answer that question two ways. One, be careful with the 16 games because that's the regular season. They can decide to sit out for the playoffs and really screw their team if they're not happy with their contract.
No. During the regular season, since we're now going to an 18-week schedule and you have to play 17 games, then the rule would be players are only allowed to play 16 of those 17 games. Not talking preseason, not talking playoffs.
Oh, well, now you're talking my language. That I would be for. That would be a good compromise so that way that a player could heal or at least take a bye week or an additional week off if they're dealing with injuries. I would be fine with that, but that still wouldn't fix the issue of the 2 seed getting completely screwed with no Vaseline and the fact that, let's just say that football players have pride. Let's just imagine for a millisecond that they have pride. And they play 17 games straight, and then they want to be a hero and be there for their team and play in the playoffs and have a career-ending injury. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it even happens once, it wasn't worth it.
Alex, they're doing that now, playing 16 games. So I can't. I hate to say that your argument doesn't hold water, but this particular argument does not hold water. They're doing it now. There are guys who want to play all 16 weeks, who want to play weeks 3 and 4 in the preseason, who want to be there in the playoffs, who want to show they're the true Iron Man, dominant warrior. They're already doing that. Now, you throw in an extra game, a game that actually means something and not a dress rehearsal in preseason. Sorry, bro. I can't get on board with you on this. I like the move. I'm glad that they're doing this. The one thing I will agree with you is they could have waited until next season. But NFL owners, because of what's going on in this whole pandemic, they wanted to make sure they got the most out of their money and the most out of their investment. So
allow me to retort.
Please.
Mark Ingram, prime example. He was banged up playing at the end of the regular season because they clinched at 14-2. But if they were 13-3, there might have been some controversy. They probably would have dropped whatever. But he had to play. Come playoff time, he was hampered against the Tennessee Titans. They hit him in his injury quick. He was out of the game, couldn't contribute, and now number 1 seed falls. Now it happens all the time. But I can bring up other players who didn't perform in the playoffs that well. Tom Brady. And people on the New England Patriots that probably, if they had that extra week or didn't have to play that extra game, probably could have been better because they were missing people as well. And as far as it doesn't hold weight, we're thinking it from a viewer standpoint, from a fan standpoint. And as I said at the very top as a disclaimer, I am a football junkie. I'm thinking about the men. I'm thinking about the people who play this game. I'm thinking about the ones that have to go back to their families after an injury because they wanted to be a hoorah for their team, and now they're playing an additional game. The head trauma. The people who could end up like Antonio Brown. People who could end up like Junior Seau. There's a lot.
All right. I think we're going down a whole other rabbit hole. I'm not ready to go down with you right now. As for right now, I will agree to disagree. Brother, stay safe. You and I will definitely talk throughout the rest of the week. Your man, Eric Wilson, alongside my brother, Alex Fleming, Florida Sun Review. Make sure you check them out, Fantasy and Flavors. Sports Arena. We'll talk to you guys at a later date. Have a good one, y'all.